And another edition of the Let's Go Ricky Roll podcast brought to you by BlueWire Podcast Network. I'm Beth Durant alongside Josh Thole and Ricky Romero. And guys, before we get going, we do this show live on YouTube. And we get a couple people watching us that are at work. And right now we had some technical difficulties and we figured it out. And I didn't think anybody was watching us, right? Because I don't advertise that we're doing the podcast live. But I do put it out on the YouTube live just because it's a way easier for me to record and edit afterwards instead of having to chop it up and all that stuff. So anyways, I just get a text right now from a loyal viewer who I didn't know was a loyal viewer. I'm not going to say her name because she should be at work. Says, some of us have real jobs and are trying to time this and to listen in a timely manner. Can you please start the podcast? Followed with, is Ricky scared to start the podcast because he doesn't want to hear it? Go Rams in the comments or what? Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Let's Go Ricky Roll.
What have I said? If I didn't talk shit to you, zip it.
My goodness. Like, we got some savage people there. And I didn't know she's listening. And I'm not going to say who she is because she's an executive and she has a real important job. And she does payroll. So, like, damn, man. Like, thank you for the support. Hello, by the way, good morning to you and your husband who are watching with us right now. So, how are you guys doing? Damn, we're getting chirped early.
That's how we like it on this show, guys. That's how we like it.
I thought we were done with the game. I don't want to talk about it.
What happened?
Oh man. Even my wife last night, I was sitting there like kind of, when you just space out, and she's like, hey. And she's like, oh my goodness, you're thinking about the game, huh? I'm like, yeah. Yeah, I am, bro. I even like, my mom is all of a sudden a Rams fan, and she was FaceTiming me, and I said, please, Mom, stop calling me. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to say the wrong things to anybody. I don't want to fight anybody. Just please, like, I'm really pissed off. Like, I'll talk to you tomorrow. That's what I said.
Guy, you're that into this? You're that into this?
I'm a diehard, man. I love it. Yeah.
Right.
There's certain guys that I can take shit from. Obviously Razzo is one of them. He's a hard fan, and him and I go at it all the time. And dude, I mean, it's just 3 years of the Niners whooping their ass, and the one game that matters, like those 3 years of ass whoopings that they got, don't mean shit now because the Rams are going to the Super Bowl, right? I mean, so he let me have it. I'm sure Beth is going to play the video. But yeah. You know what? I actually didn't really get that many text messages because, again, I don't engage in that kind of like, oh, my team's better than yours. Your team sucks. I don't engage like that. But with Razzo, it's different. And yeah, man, it was just.
It was rough.
That's because last week, Tuesday, you put the fear in God in everybody. That's why I didn't reach out.
And there's another one I can take shit from, Ace. Like, because he's a good sport, man. He really is. He dishes it out and he handles it well. And he still hasn't let it go this morning. He's still texting about, like, how are my feelings and this and that. And yeah, man, I mean, it's all in fun. Like, Cara, my wife, was like, why can't anybody make fun of you? You would have been making fun. I was like, no, there was one guy that I was going to target if the Niners won, and it was going to be Razzo. And that was it. I was going to target his ass, and I was going to rip him in half. But he's got the upper hand right now, and yeah, I've been hearing it all day yesterday. He sent me the whole Josh, have you seen Friday, the movie Friday?
Yeah.
Well, the whole Debo thing, Debo Samuel. He's crying at the end, and he's like, guess what, Ricky? Debo got knocked the fuck out. That's what he said. And I'm like, oh, the guy's crying. Come on, man. Come on. But there's just sympathy, man, and I would have done the same thing. So yeah, it's all good. And you know what? The worst part about it, and I told him, Beto, that if he sees you this week, he's got to hand over the equipment. I told him I have to wear a jersey and a helmet.
Okay, so let's
podcast next Tuesday.
Let's get this out of the way here. It is the Let's Go Ricky Roll podcast. We do talk about baseball eventually, maybe sometimes. But as we've told you, we're evolving this year, and we're just going to talk about everything. And it's basically three guys who don't see each other and One of them lives in upstate New York. One lives in like Columbia or wherever you may be right now, Ricky, in your other house. And I'm just in a garage with the sheet behind me, right? So that's what we're doing here. And we're just having fun with it. And just warning right now, if you're listening with your kid in the car right now, and usually it is a family-friendly show, today there's going to be a lot of cuss words. Not from Ricky, just from the videos that I'm going to be playing, because my goodness. So I work for CBS. My job this weekend was to cover the game on social media for the CBS Sports account. I didn't have to do it. We weren't doing a show because the game was on Fox. So I'm there at the parking lot, and Razo, who is a good friend of the show and works at Golden Boy as a matchmaker and hardcore Rams fan, a man when he got married 20 years ago on the bottom of his shoes said, "Go Rams," because he got married during Pro Bowl weekend. Like, that's how hardcore a Rams fan he is. He has a great tailgate. He sets up on Saturday totally in the parking lot, and it turns out he's the first one in there because he has a great spot. The LA 49ers Booster Club set up right across from him. The entire row was nothing but 49er fans. So I tagged Ricky, I tagged Sergio Romo, and everybody's like, yeah, everybody's having a good time, 49ers. And Razo's there cooking, fucking 49ers fans, fucking, just in a power, piss poor mood, right? And the tacos still came out good, but you could tell they weren't made with love this time. There was a little extra.
You shouldn't be mad. There's like 10 LA Rams fans. Let's be serious. Let's be serious. No, there's no real LA Rams fan.
Okay.
My mom ain't a real LA Rams fan.
So as the game progresses, I don't have a team. I troll whoever, and I'm the mush, and I picked the Rams, and they won. But whatever. But people were sending me messages. Oh, podcast on Tuesday. What are you gonna say to Ricky? What's Ricky gonna do? Like, hey, let the guy have his moment. Let him be upset right now. That being said, Thole, let's just get this out of the way right now. This video was sent to me numerous times, and I saw this video happen. All right, close your ears if you got little kids. This is Javier Razo's video. If you're watching on YouTube, it's perfect. To Razo. So let me set the scene. He's at his seats in section 227. He is wearing an Isaac Bruce jersey, and he found a helmet. Where? I don't know, but he found a helmet. This is after the game. The message he sends to Ricky.
Let's go. Let's go. Fucking Ricky. Give me that money, motherfucker. Let's go.
That video kills me, man. Oh, hammered.
He was tailgating since 10:30. The game that was probably around 7:38. Mind you, I'm on the field while the players are celebrating, and I look up to Razo's section, and I grab the photographer, a real professional photographer, and I see Razo and his crew there. I have the photographer, and I see a guy in a helmet. I'm like, who's this stupid guy wearing a helmet right now? And I'm like, oh, those are my friends. So I gather the photographer to have him take a picture, and I'm calling Razo over and over and over, turn around. He's like, rah, 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 rah. That's all he says to me, rah, 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 rah. Hangs up, and he does his video, and it's perfect. And the photographer turns to me and says, those are your friends? Like, he showed me the lens from the background, and where did Razo find a helmet? We have no clue, but he made sure to send it to Ricky, so we apologize for the cursing, kind of.
The backstory behind that is every time the Niners have beat them, I send them a video and I'll split them in half because it started last year. It started last year when I was like, hey, watch out for Debo. He's coming. He's like, who the fuck is Debo? And I was like, okay. And then obviously we came to find out who Debo was, and it kind of started from there. There's been like maybe 3 or 4 videos that I made for him, so he got his payback, man. He'd been waiting for that.
Oh,
just like
he'd been waiting.
Smoke Debo down the middle of the field. Razo was waiting to smoke me, and he got me, man. Like I said, hey, I'm a good sport. I lost the bet. I told him I'd wear a helmet. I told him I'd wear the jersey for the podcast. I told him for the helmet, I'll wear it for the intro, and then I'll wear the jersey for the rest of the podcast because he does a podcast with Beto too, and that was a bet. If I were to win, he was going to wear the helmet and a Niner jersey, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, so where are my cookies at? I've been delivering cookies because my niece, there she is. My niece Maddie is selling Girl Scout cookies. So Razo, good uncle that he is, supported. So I delivered Girl Scout cookies yesterday. And by the way, thanks to Stocky in Canada, who just bought $25 worth of cookies. He's in Canada. He's like, I don't want them. He goes, I'm just going to buy them to support your niece. Sends the money to Ricky. I don't know the currency exchange, But Stocky, I got cookies for you, and I'm gonna eat them. So thank you very much. But on the flip side, I go to Roswell's house to drop off the cookies. Right? I'm thinking I'm just making a normal Girl Scout transaction. Here's your bag. Let me drop it off. Fuck yeah, Beto! I got the jersey. I got the helmet. I'm like, okay. First of all, hold on. What
I told
are you
him to
talking about?
sanitize that. I was like, I don't want all your saliva all over that helmet. It better be nice and sanitized.
He tells me, before even saying thank you for bringing the cookies to me, this is the jersey Ricky's wearing. This is the helmet he's got to wear. I'm like, first of all, what are you talking about? What is going on here? On the podcast, he's got to wear it. I'm like, Roswell, breathe here, bro. The game was 2 days ago. You go, okay. On your podcast, we made a bet that Ricky has to wear the helmet and the jersey the entire show. Like, whoa, wait a minute. Whoa. First of all, I think I'm a third of this show. Maybe I don't want Ricky wearing a Ram stuff the entire time. Maybe here. But he's so adamant that next Tuesday, Ricky has to wear a Rams jersey the entire podcast.
Can't wait. I can't wait.
Not the helmet.
Not the helmet? No helmet?
Helmet right. Just for the intro, I told him. I can't wear that. That helmet hurts.
All right, one more time, Roz. I know you're watching right now. Here it is. Once again, cover your kids' ears. This is from the NFC Championship game.
Let's go. Let's go. Fucking Ricky. Give me that money, motherfucker. Let's go.
Now,
hey, but let's be serious. This is who I'm going with. Super Bowl pick. Smoking Joe, baby.
Oh.
I already told him. Fuck the Rams. I'm going Bengals. Go Bengals.
Double or nothing.
Thole, you're such a good instigator. I love it.
Man.
I love it, Thole. You're such a good... All right. Yeah. But, yeah, also, I'm just trying to figure out, at SoFi Stadium, it's so hard to get anything in there. You have to have a clear bag policy, everything else. How the hell did they get a helmet inside the stadium? But that's another thing for another day, all that other good stuff. So, Ricky, we're sorry about your 49ers. It's a heck of a run, good season. They went after it. I was there, and there was a lot of 49er fans, and it was kind of quiet after the game, but it was a heck of a game back and forth. Good times. And now, Ricky, you don't have to worry about spending $10,000 to watch the 49ers in the Super Bowl. You're good.
Yeah. Save you money.
Yeah.
We can go to New York and visit Thole now.
I don't even think I want to watch the Super Bowl.
We can get,
you know what? Anybody like the Rams, man. Anybody like golly. 10-point lead, 10 minutes to go.
So
that was sad.
So the Romero house has been pretty normal the last couple of days, huh?
Yeah, I think my wife is happy that the Niners got knocked out.
Yeah. Clearly.
But all in good fun. This is what sports is all about. Even like my dad calling me, like my dad's like, "Hey, are you okay?" Like, "Hey, it's just a game. Like, it's just a game. Like, they'll be next year."
Wait till next year. The infamous last words of every professional sports team.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, all in good fun. This is what sports should be all about. When you have fun like that, and you have people to troll and people who troll you, and you got to be able to take the heat. So.
Yeah, just like Dan Shulman took it with the Packers, you're taking it with the Rams. There you go. Thole, how you been? What you up to?
Just awaiting the next big ice storm coming.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, this weekend. Pretty big one.
What does that mean?
What's an ice?
Like they're talking about a half inch of ice, meaning like instead of it coming down in rain or snow, it comes down in icicles.
Oh,
no. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, with about 6 inches of snow behind it.
You can't even be outside for that, can you?
Well, you can't drive. No way you can drive. So that's what we got to look forward to this week.
Ooh, man, it's gonna be this Saturday. It's gonna be 68, man. Bundle up.
I love it. I have a buddy in Florida. He was playing golf and he had his toque on, dressed in long sleeve. I checked the weather. It was like 60 degrees.
It gets cold. It gets a little chilly in the morning.
Well, when you're used to it. Yeah, when you're not used to it.
I wore pants the other day to golf. It was like 60. Yeah, I'm right there. All right. So here we go, Rick. You had a pretty cool moment this past weekend. Cal State Fullerton had their alumni weekend. What was that like for you?
It was good, man. It's always good to go back. That's one thing I try not to miss. Every year we go back and we get a good turnout. So many tight ends, from all ages, man. It's crazy the turnout that we get. They had the Augie Garrido statue unveiling. That was pretty cool. I wasn't there for that because it was earlier in the day, but I got to see it. It's really cool. The Cal State Fullerton Titans baseball team just got a brand new clubhouse and offices. That little building you see behind that statue right there. Yeah. Now they have a clubhouse there. Our clubhouse used to be the size of a tiny little place, probably the size of your garage, Beto. Oh, maybe even taller than that. And that's where we would get drunk. But it's pretty cool to see. Obviously when we were there, we didn't care. I thought that was the greatest thing ever. I was like, whoa, a clubhouse with your jersey on it? Are you kidding me? Coming from Roosevelt High School, East LA kid that didn't know any better. That was cool. But I feel like we paved the way for stuff like this. And obviously Fullerton has had a tough time the past few years. And we're hoping that Jason Dietrich, who's a new head coach there, gets these guys back to where they belong. Cal State Fullerton's a blue-collar type school, and we've always recruited blue-type collar players, and hopefully they get back to where they belong, the World Series. That was the big thing. And again, we get what was it, 130 guys come back from Phil Nevin to Mark Kotze, Matt Chapman, Michael Lorenzen, myself, Shane Costa, just a lot of former big leaguers, a lot of guys that love being Titans, and they come back. Yeah, man, it's such a good turnout. They put a keg in the our dugout, or in the back, not in the dugout, but in the back. They're cooking food for us, and they just treat us as best as they can. And it's always, like I said, you sit there and you reminisce about all the stories and all the cool things that happened when we were in school. I mean, for me, it was a crazy experience because when I was there, we went to the World Series 2 out of the 3 years with 1 national championship. And my class, if I would have stayed another year, I would have made it 3 out of 4 years. So we were pretty successful, and we have so many stories. So when we get together, it's cool. And I can't forget Noe Ramirez too. He was there too, and like always. But again, it was cool, man. It was good to be back at Goodwin Field. I wish I was in throwing shape so that I can actually get on the mound and face these guys.
Come on.
But yeah, no.
You didn't pitch?
Oh man, no.
Would you hit at least?
No. I just sat there and
had those big hitters. Yeah, they don't let you hit. We should have known that.
No. So it's cool, man. When you get those guys, it's cool to see Mark Kotze, Nevin, all those old school dudes come back and be a part of this. I mean, that's how much it means to be part of the Cal State Fullerton baseball program. And you see the younger guys, guys that have been called up to the big leagues this past year, guys that are superstars in a Matt Chapman, for example, and guys like that. They all come back, they have a good time, and they're just part of the club. And that's what it's all about, to be an alumni.
And how many of those guys are coming on the podcast?
We can do it. We can do it.
See, you should have told me. I would have been there handing out stickers. All right, here you go. You're coming on this day, this day, this day, and this day. Let's go. See, you're too busy telling stories about being an All-American and playing Team USA. I would have been over there hey, man, you're coming on the podcast.
Coach Horton was there too, and telling cool stories like how we, when we won the national championship. I was like, remember, Coach, when we were my sophomore year, we won the championship, but we were so bad. And we went to University of Texas and played, and we got absolutely smoked, who was the team that we faced in the national championship. And then we were getting done. We're getting out of the clubhouse, and one of the Texas coaches says, "Hey, Coach, we'll see you in Omaha." And Coach Horton replies, "Yeah, we'll be watching on TV." I was like,
"That's great.
What did he just say?" So I gather up the group, and I was like, "You know what? Screw what he has to say. This guy just said that we'll be watching from TV, dude." And then it just fired us up, and I told him the story. He's like, "Dude, I remember it perfectly." He's like, "There was a method to my madness. I was making sure somebody was listening so that you guys would listen."
Could Horton figure out a computer?
That's unbelievable.
I'm sure he can, dude.
All right,
Yeah,
we gotta get George Horton on the podcast. I want to hear his side of the stories. Like if Ricky,
there's a lot of stories, man. Like we needed to win one game against Long Beach State. They had Weaver on Friday, had Ramos on Saturday, and they had Jason Vargas on Sunday. And we needed to win one game just to win the Big West. And he decided, he's like, well, we're probably, his thought process we're going to lose to Weaver on Friday. So let's put Jason Windsor on Saturday, because Windsor was the best pitcher in the country along with Weaver at the time, but they didn't want them facing each other because they just didn't want to risk losing. So they kind of flipped the whole rotation. Before practice, they told us this, and then everyone was pissed, man. Everyone was like, what the hell is going on? Like, why are we scared all of a sudden? So he stopped practicing, and he's like, hey, do you guys have something to say? And one of our captains spoke up and said, yeah, like we should keep the rotation the way it is. And he said, so then sure enough, Friday night, Windsor, Weaver were losing 1-0 with 2 outs in the 9th inning. And he said, he told me the story on Saturday. He's like, in my mind, I'm saying these motherfuckers tricked me into doing this, and now we're going to lose 1-0 like I thought we were going to lose. And base hit, double down the line, Brett Pill, who made it to the big leagues with the Giants. And then our third baseman comes in, jam shot, ties the game. We win the game in 10 innings. Jason Windsor pitches 10 innings. We win 2-1, dude. It was the greatest. The craziest. Jared Weaver, Thole in college was unbelievable. Like unbelievable. And it was, dude, he was as advertised. Nasty. He was mean on the mound. He didn't care who it was. Dude, they had us beat. And that weekend we go and sweep Long Beach, and the rest is history, you know. But yeah, it's just funny now. 2-1, we beat them.
That's cool. The alumni games always go back, and you look at them. You're like, hey, even for me, my ragtag one for high school, I'm gonna go this weekend. I'm not gonna play, but I'm gonna go take my 18 pack and teach these young kids. Like, you show up with an 18 pack, and you make sure you have your red cup. Like, I teach these kids how to drink in high school. Man, I'm going Friday. I'm going Sunday. I'm going to the Roosevelt one. Are you? Okay.
Yeah. They asked me if I can come out there to throw out the first pitch. So I'm gonna
cut those high school. Hey, cut those high school kids out, Rick. Go after them.
Play?
You can still pitch.
Come on, Rick.
You got it.
No.
Just go out there and be like, all right, who's the best hitter? You, and just hit them.
Josh, you know what my biggest fear is? Me like twisting a knee, tearing something, and then coming home and saying, oh, you wanted to play? Well, here's 3 kids. You figure it out.
Yeah. Be limping around the house.
Exactly.
Hey, you're not a spring chicken.
No, I'm not.
So, hey, Mike, it's funny that this conversation was brought up because Mike Nikias, an old teammate of mine, went to Westlake, I guess.
Yeah.
They just had their
Studs.
They just had their alumni game, and he sends me videos of him hitting homers. So I before we got on the podcast, I was just speaking with him, and I said, Slugger. I said,
wait, you do not call him Slugger.
Yeah, I called him. That's my guy.
Oh, you gotta get him on, by the way.
Yeah, we should have just dialed it in today.
Yeah.
He says, dude, like, I had no worries of getting out. I swung at every pitch, and I swung as hard as I could, and I was launching balls out of the ballpark. If we could just have that mindset when we played, who knows where we would be.
How did he feel today, though? That's what I want to know.
He said he caught, too. He's in golf. Yeah, he's in golf shape. He's fine.
He's 38. He's all right.
Oh, yeah, he played golfer, right, Josh?
Huh?
Hell of a golfer, too, right?
Hell of a golfer. I flew him in for member guest. Well, he flew himself in for member guest, but.
Really?
Yeah.
Is he pretty even?
Yeah, I mean, he's better than a scratch golfer.
Oh, Jesus.
Damn, Mike Nikias, Canadian, too.
Yeah, and he's Canadian, he's British, he's got like 8 passports. One of the most interesting men in baseball.
Hey, totally.
Nobody knows.
Totally, just let you know
really is, dude. It really is.
Yeah, we got to get him on. And totally, just let you know that area where he grew up, Westlake. Oh, buddy. Yeah.
Was it like Roosevelt?
I was about to make a class joke, but I'm gonna leave that one alone.
You know what? I want to get him on because I'm interested to hear why he chose Georgia Tech when the Southern California schools were at the top during that time. So I'm curious.
Let's get him on. Let's get him on.
Yeah, we'll get him on.
All right, so here we go. As you guys know, we have a new features now. Thole time. The rant is coming up later on. Are you have one, Thole?
Yeah, I was ready. I was ready.
Okay.
Before you guys were ready.
We don't need it right now, but we have the feature where we give these guys 2 different topics and we talk about it. And good response last week. People really liked it, engaged with it. Still don't have a name. It's not going to be turn 2. It's not going to be double header. It's not going to be something to, but we got to get something with the name of 2. The first one, though, I'm going to go at you guys. Hall of Fame over the weekend. And here's the video announcement for David Ortiz.
Hello, I'm trying to reach David Ortiz, please.
This is David Ortiz.
Hello, David. This is Jack O'Connell with the Baseball Writers Association of America. I'm calling you from Cooperstown, New York, to let you know that the baseball writers have elected you to the National Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yes! So Big Papi, David Ortiz, goes to the Hall of Fame, the only one elected this year. That video, Pedro Martinez right over his shoulder. And some of you guys were wondering, well, how does he know that he's going to get the call and he has 8,000 people around him? Now, because voters put their ballot out there, and when voters send in their ballot, they can put, do you want it public? And there's a couple people on Twitter who collect these votes, and then you can kind of gauge who's going to get elected. So David Ortiz was expected, and players are told if they're close to being accepted, the acceptance rate, that this is what's going to be like on Hall of Fame Day. If we do call you, this is how it's going to go at this time. And then afterwards, you have to do these interviews. This is what's going to happen for the next couple of days. So the players are anticipating it. And David Ortiz knew that he had garnered enough votes. Thole, we'll start with you. As a catcher, what was it like being around Big Papi David Ortiz?
Well, let me say this first. It's unbelievable watching that video, and Ricky can speak to this too. I feel like the moment you get into professional baseball, you want to win World Series, and that's the end game. Whether it's realistic or not, I think it's unbelievable. Being behind the plate, you have to understand, I came from the National League where the extra hitter was the pitcher. So now I go to the American League, we go to Fenway Park, and David Ortiz is the extra hitter. He was dangerous. I mean, that was one guy that was not allowed to beat you, and there was a presence in the box, and the ball came off his bat different, and it was it was a different feel as it was Albert Pujols and those type of hitters when they would step in the box. So much deserved to David. I'm glad he got in. I think it's awesome to say that I played against him, and there's a lot of other things that go along with this, but I think it's exciting for him, and I'm glad it worked out in his manner.
Rick?
Yeah, man. I mean, shoot, had so many battles. I mean, from my rookie year to my last year in the big leagues, there was that presence that when he got to the box, you knew who he was, you knew what he was capable of. I still remember he hit one of the furthest home runs I probably gave up in my career in Toronto. You know that left, right center, that little deck area up there, Josh?
Yeah.
The West Jet deck now. It used to be something else. Well, he went up there and left like in a blink of an eye. But I also got him a few times. So, it's those moments where you're proud of it when you get a guy like that out. Josh, catching, like it almost seems like he always came up in like the clutch situations too.
Yeah.
Man, on first and you really, really have to get cerebral with him because he was such a smart hitter that he knew what he knew every time he's like, I know what you want to do to me. I know it, but sometimes your stuff is just nasty and you beat me. But other times I see your stuff and that's why I get you. So it's cool. It was always cool. He's the type of guy that, I didn't know him my rookie year, but he came up to me. He gave me a huge hug and congratulations and this and that, and took me under his wing. He invited me to his golf tournament in the Dominican Republic. We had a great time out there. Just a fun individual and a very caring one too. And I know he does a lot of stuff off the field doesn't get mentioned, and I believe he was a Roberto Clemente Award winner, if I'm not mistaken, right?
He was.
Beto?
Yep.
Yeah, so you know that alone speaks for itself with the impact he's able to make off the field. But what he did on the field was unbelievable, and I'm happy for him, man. And I'm sure to have Pedro there with him. Not very many Dominican guys are in the Hall of Fame, so I feel like you're gonna start seeing that trend now. With a lot of these guys retiring, and it's cool. I mean, again, he did a lot for Boston, and those Boston teams he was a part of were so dangerous, man. There was nothing more stressful than the night before, knowing that you were going to face them, and then you wake up and you see the lineup, and you're like, oh boy, here we go. You know, it was like Dustin Pedroia himself, Adrian Beltre, Victor Martinez, and just, dude, it was just 1 through 9 was really, really stressful all the time, and when you were facing the Boston Red Sox, and he was the big part of it. So,
yep, you mentioned the Dominican Republic. There's 4 players to the Dominican elected into Hall of Fame: Pedro Martinez, Vladimir Guerrero, Juan Marichal, and now David Ortiz. So,
wow, that in itself is an incredible stat that I don't know. Like, they didn't really harp on that much. I watched a lot of the coverage, but 4 players, and think how many there've been.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's been some good ones too. It's great. It's great for David. I think it's freaking awesome. I mean, much, as I said before, much deserved.
Yeah, and some of you guys are probably thinking, well, what about this? What about that? Like, we're not going to get into the who didn't get in or the Clemens and the Bonds, and like that's sports talk radio. Go listen to Mike and the Mad Dog. Let them do all that other stuff.
There is one guy that I want to see get in, and that's Fred McGriff.
Crime Dog?
Yeah, man. I mean, dude, gosh, look at those numbers, man, and what he did. And then I know they put it into the war and this. Dude, the dude hit a shit ton of home runs, and I want to see him, man. I mean, he's a good dude, and I always thought he was very intimidating till I met him and I had a conversation with him, and I was like, wow, this dude is the funniest dude I've ever met. So that's one guy that I hopefully one day. I know
the Veterans Committee will probably do that. Wait, Crime Dog has personality. Tom Amansky, the videos that you would watch late at night, thrown into the trash can. That guy, he has a personality like that.
You didn't do those drills.
There's another one too that I feel like there was a little bit of rumblings about him this year, and dude, to come up to the big leagues and him be your third baseman in Scott Rowland was unbelievable to me. Like when he was a damn wall at third base, and he was a big dude. Josh, you know that. I'm sure you saw him in the box a few times. I don't know if you did or didn't, but big dude, and to move the way he moved at third base, man, he made your life easier. Like I said, a rookie to come up and Scott Rowland is your third baseman, and the career that he had. Hopefully one day we see him into.
Yeah, it's a lot of different things. What goes on with the Veterans Committee, what's going to happen, and like the talk of like, oh, who didn't get in? It's like, oh, let's celebrate the people we do know. You guys have personal interactions with them, and Papi's also a player who I've told Ricky on the side, like, when you play in big markets, you get treated a certain way. And you play in Boston, and remember the speech he gave after the Boston bombing, and this is my fucking town, all that other stuff, and it goes a long way. There was some tweets also like, oh, so if you're nice to the media, they get you in. Well,
part of it.
Yeah, part of it. You got to play the game.
Well, if you're an asshole to the media, you're not getting in.
Ask Jeff Kent.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this, Beto. Let me ask you this. Let's say you had a vote, though. What do you really like? Knowing who you are, would you hold that against a player?
Not me, but I do know that a lot of writers, and the Hall of Fame is elected by the Baseball Writers Association, not the broadcasters. So like Joe Buck doesn't have a vote, not the GMs, not the none of that. It's all members of the Baseball Writers Association. And once you're in the Veterans or the Writers Association, if you cover the major leagues for 10 years on a beat, you have a lifetime vote. So it doesn't get taken away from you. So you have some guys, like, for example, Dan Le Batard was a writer for the Miami Herald, the radio host now who was on ESPN. And Le Batard a couple years ago even said, I'll sell my vote because it was such a joke what he thought, because there's guys voting on the Hall of Fame who haven't covered a baseball game in 20-something years, guys that are retired. And so that's who's making the decisions. It's not the young writers. So, like for example, some of the beat writers that are out there right now that see the game day to day, they don't have a vote because they're young. So it's the veteran ones, the vested ones that have that vote. So that's why you start seeing, why do guys all of a sudden get more votes towards the end of their time on the ballot? Because some of those guys become eligible, guys that covered them a little bit. So Le Batard famously did it a couple years ago. He said, I'll sell my vote to Deadspin. And he did whatever they told him to do because he was also being a rebel against it, but just kind of bringing out how some guys will have a vote and they'll leave it empty. Right? Because that's their voice of protest of like, that was the steroid era. Well, it's like, come on, man. Like, these guys did something to earn it. Like, somebody on that ballot earned something. Like, don't just leave it blank. That's just a waste of a vote because you want to show that you're high and mighty about certain things. So a lot of the writers are very petty. A lot of the writers hold grudges, and it's not fair. No, it shouldn't be like that. But that's but that's in every business too, like, you know, Hollywood and Oscars and everything else. So that's why me, Rick, and you know this, I don't get along with a lot of the writers because I call them out on their BS a lot of stuff, and they're like, oh, you're just a TV guy. But I was like, dude, you have a responsibility as a guy like myself who loves baseball. Yeah, you can go and say they were played in a steroid era, but you got to admit these guys were putting up something. They were doing something. And David Ortiz is also a guy who was involved, the names there, and all of a sudden he's first ballot. How come he gets it and other guys don't?
Bob Costas did the best piece about Bonds and Clemens. Not to get on the subject, but I'm just going to leave you with this. Bob Costas did a great piece on the network about if we called the height of the steroid era, like 97, I think, 98 maybe. We'll call that like the pinnacle of it. If you took Bonds and Clemens from the day they got to the big leagues to that moment, would have given them 10 years in the major leagues or so. And if they retired at that moment, they would have been first ballot Hall of Famers. And I'm right there with them. Yeah,
it's interesting, the debate. You can go back and forth.
And I know I sent you that tweet that Will Middlebrooks tweeted out saying if Bonds doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, then why are his records celebrated? So why is that the home run record still talked about in MLB? Yeah. You know, if you don't care about the guy, if you don't want to put him in the Hall of Fame, why are we still worshiping his records? Like, you know, and a hitter is going to be like, damn, nobody's ever going to touch Barry Bonds. That's the name that comes up. Nobody else is. So why do we keep talking about it on MLB and this and that? He's still part of all that, and not elect them. I mean, I know there's a lot of mixed feelings about it, and you know, with the cheating and all that.
And Barry was a jerk to everybody, and he didn't care.
And again, I feel like that to me is just stupid. Like you said, Jeff Kent, you know, he wasn't nice to the media, but it shouldn't be that. It shouldn't be how nice of a guy he is or he isn't. What he did in the field is what matters, and all of him should be out. But obviously, it's fit into this whole different thing about what was nice to do, and I think that part of
there was Doug Glanville had an excellent piece yesterday.
I read that.
Yeah, and Doug, of course, superb writer. He's a professor at University of Pennsylvania. He were his alma mater, and he wrote about how he played against Bonds and in that era, and you know, he could have easily done it, but he didn't. So it's just you go and check that out, and he was very well reasoned why he doesn't believe that Bonds is in there. So it's it had nothing to do with the personal. It's like this is what's going on, and it's interesting how you view it. But then again, a lot of the baseball media, and I'll say it right now, a bunch of old white guys. Like, they talk about Springsteen, and that's what they know. And I'm like, I don't know what you guys are talking about, bro. And it's an interesting dynamic of how it goes and who gets in and whatnot. Like A-Rod, for example, you know, he burned a lot of bridges. He had different things, and he's not even somebody you talk about. And look at the numbers he had, as you would say, totally back to your point, before he got busted, right? Like, crazy.
Yeah.
The stuff that goes back and forth. Oh, man, look, we had a professional baseball talk right there. See, we could do that, too. We went from getting yelled at by a guy in a football helmet to having Hall of Fame discussion. All right, the second one on here, it's February now, and the Serie Del Caribe is going on in the Dominican Republic. And, of course, you know, we are the show that's going to bring this up because Thole is a legend in Venezuela. Ricky never played in winter ball, but you wish you had. But the passion that you hear, I want you guys to hear this one. This home run call by Juan Angel Avila, who used to be the Padres Spanish radio announcer. He's calling the games for Mexico. They're playing against Panama. And let's just hear this home run call.
Y aún así, con una victoria, fuerte batazo, está conectando Quiroz hacia jardín derecho. La pelota va volando lejos. Para atrás la bola. Para atrás. Para atrás. Para la calle Esteban Quiroz. 2-0 México inmediatamente. 2-0 la primera entrada sobre Puerto Rico.
There you go. So Charos is playing. You love that call. Juan Angel, the guy who hit the home run, His name is Pony Quiros. Just like Pony, right? Ponii. Pony Quiros, he's in the Tampa Bay organization. He's a 29-year-old infielder, listed generously at 5'6". So that's why his nickname is Pony. Like, only Mexicans give you the worst nicknames possible just to mess with you.
Or the best.
Or the best. So that was Pony Quiros. So Mexico playing against the Dominican Republic, Panama yesterday. And here's how the game. Look at the guy I'm gonna show you guys right now. The pitcher for Mexico is a guy named Nick Struck. And if you're watching us on YouTube, I'm showing you his baseball reference on the side. Guy went 5 2/3, 5 hits, struck out 2. Nick Struck was drafted in the 39th round, a kid from Oregon. He turned pro in 2010. He's played for teams in Daytona, Peoria, Iowa, Tennessee, Mesa, Albuquerque, Chattanooga, Long Island, Independent Ball, Mazatlan, Monterrey, and now he's playing for the Charros in Mexico in 2021. And this brings me up to this, about how guys can go and have a professional career, but you don't necessarily have to get to the big leagues to live that dream of being a pro, right? Right, Thole? As long as you have that uniform on, you're a pro. And a guy like Nick Struck, who I've never heard of, but is just now dominating and doing work in a Mexican uniform. Do you remember guys like that, Thole?
Yeah, I mean, and I use a guy in particular, like Josh Kroger. He has major league service time, but Josh Kroger. You guys think I'm a legend in Venezuela? This guy was like, he had made his career being a Venezuelan winter ball legend. Like,
what's his name again? Josh what?
Josh Kroger.
Okay.
La Pesadilla.
I heard he's big time down there, dude.
But, like, I've never seen anything like it. So to Beto's point about Nick Struck, like, absolutely, you can make a name for yourself and put yourself right back on the map. Twofold, right? Like, you can go down and just enjoy your life down there and make some cash doing it and live the professional baseball career, or you have this opportunity where, like, you deal and you're successful and you've matured and your stuff got better. Like, you might get another shot back at affiliated baseball,
dude.
But you know what? I think that to that point, a lot of guys get comfortable out there and they're like, why am I gonna go ride buses in single A, double A, where I have no control of where I'm going to be, or stay here in Mexico, make triple the pay, and continue to be the legend that I am.
That's right, and I think you're seeing that. That's what's happening with the Atlantic League, right? Players are saying, or going over to Korea. We're seeing a lot of like 4A guys going over to Korea right now because of that reason alone. They're saying, when you get in control of into a farm system, right? It's hard because you're at their beck and call. Like, you have zero say. You can have your agent call the front office or call the farm director, and nothing will happen. Nothing may happen. Like, when you go down there, there's one focus, and that's to win ball games, and that's the bottom line. And I think guys feed on that more than going into minor league baseball and just being a number, being a stat, or being whatever. They want an opportunity to go win.
That's pretty.
Yeah,
so
and it's true what Josh is saying. They every team down there has one goal: win, or the manager fire. There's more manager firings than I've ever seen in my life. Every week there's a manager that gets fired. If you don't perform, there's guys that get sent out and stuff like that. You hear about all that. I saw it a little bit in TJ. The manager that was there when I ended up leaving early, but the manager that was there wins the championship in the offseason, or he comes back next season. They get off to a rough start. They fire him.
Yeah,
it's very cutthroat, but I feel like you said, Josh, I think a lot of guys enjoy that part of it, like that you have to win and it's win now, and you put up numbers, you get a chance to get traded and stuff like that. Be careful with the stuff that you sign because it gets shady. But I feel like a lot of I didn't play winter ball, Josh did, and I feel like there's a completely different dynamic when it comes to winter ball because you got to win, and there's so much passion in those countries, in Venezuela, in the Dominican, and in Mexico. There's so much passion, so much work that goes into that they put these teams together with guys from the U.S. that it's win now.
Yeah, well, Robinson Cano is playing for the Dominican right now. Like, you look at some of the names out there, and I got to see it live a couple years ago in Guadalajara for the World the Serie Del Caribe, where I'm watching the Dominican play Puerto Rico in Mexico. I'm like, ain't nobody gonna be here. What a party! Great atmosphere, you know, and it's fantastic. So your boy La Pesadilla, nicknamed the Nightmare, known for his clutch hitting, in his Wikipedia, MVP the Caribes de Anzoátegui in the 2010 season. His surname, the fictional character Freddy Krueger. They would call him Freddy Krueger down there, also in Venezuela. Yeah. And it's just like, because I've been paying attention to the games and watching, I'm like, damn, like, this is just crazy. If people could just understand it. And I've told Ricky, I've always wanted to do a broadcast of the Mexican League, but in English, where we know who these guys are. Imagine Nick Struck, a kid from Oregon, or there's some other kids that I've seen, like their closer yesterday. He's from Brawley. I'm pretty sure Sergio Romo knows him, like, pitching for Mexico. So it's just been pretty cool to see that. You know, if you can watch baseball that matters, it's just always fun.
We should do that. Yeah. Hey, I think that would be awesome. Beto, do some legwork, because I'm sure there's nobody
doing it. MLB Network tried to do that. Robert Flores did. They did a couple of Dominican games, but you got to work with it. And I'll leave it at this, Thole. Mexico.
Yeah.
All right.
Got it.
Go ahead, Rick.
No, it's true. It's true. I would love to do it too, because there's a lot of interesting stories. As we heard of one of them, Manny Beretta, right? I mean, a lifetime guy who's played in Mexico, the Winter Ball, Summer League, and then he gets one crack at it, makes it to the big leagues with the Orioles, all that good stuff. If you get a chance to listen to that episode. But again, you see a lot of stories, a lot of guys who were successful in the big leagues that go over there and play in the summer, especially in Mexico, because that's the only summer ball team that other than the Korean and the Japanese leagues where guys go. But there's a lot of guys down there that you're just like, wait, what? He's here?
Yeah.
Wait, what? He's here? What is he doing here? You know, this guy spent 10 years in the big leagues or 12 years in the big leagues, and they're still doing it. They're still doing it for the love of the game. And I think that's what it comes down to. They just love playing baseball.
Get the arm ready, Ricky. You could throw in your, like, Horacio Ramirez is still pitching in his 45, whatever it is.
Yeah,
keep on going.
Ricky, get your arm right. Me and Beto will go down there and call the game.
Yeah, exactly.
If I get down there, I want you calling the real game.
Oh, Tony's catching.
Oh, God. now that's a lot to ask. Come on.
Oh, that was a quick no from Tony. All right, final thing here. Every single week, we're going to bring you a piece of audio, baseball related, that we're going to have some fun with. Last week, it was the scene from Bull Durham where lollygaggers, and people really loved it. We even had a little graphic that had us in the shower scene, lollygaggers, right? Well, last week, by request, Thole asked for Kurt Bivacqua. And people are like, who the hell is Kurt Bivacqua? It's like early 80s something. So I found this one. Now, Kurt Bivacqua was a light-hitting infielder, I think. But I found this rant from Tommy Lasorda. Once again, if you have kids in the car, tell them to put their iPad on or something. Don't listen to this one. So I'm going to set it up right here. In 1982, Tom Niedenfuer was fined $500 for beating Joe Lefebvre of the Padres. All right. The next day, Lefebvre's teammate Kurt Bivacqua quoted in the papers as saying that the guy that should have been fined was the one who ordered Niedenfuer to throw at Joe. The fat little Italian. Reporters asked Lasorda about Bivacqua's comment, and here's Tommy Lasorda.
Tell you what I think about it. I think that is very, very bad for that man to make an accusation like that. That is terrible. I have never, ever, since I've managed, ever told a pitcher to throw at anybody, nor will I ever. And if I ever did, I certainly wouldn't make him throw at a fucking 130 hitter like Lefebvre or fucking Bivacqua, who couldn't hit water if he fell out of a fucking boat. And I guarantee you this, when I pitched, and I was going to pitch against a fucking team that had guys on it like Bivacqua, I sent a fucking limousine to get the cocksucker to make sure he was in the motherfucking lineup, because I kicked that cocksucker's ass any fucking day in a week. He's a fucking motherfucking big mouth, I'll tell you that.
I didn't know there was that many bad words in there. Boy, we're gonna get.
I've never heard that before.
Tommy Lasorda and Kurt Bavacqua. Yeah, that's you don't hear it that often. Like I said, we apologize for the language if you have kids in the car. But my goodness, so Tommy Lasorda would go on rants, and we won't hear that anymore. But that was by request of Josh Thole.
Yeah. Listen, and knowing Tommy just a little bit that I got to know him the year I was with the Dodgers, like that is who Tommy was. Tommy was that. He was that animated, and I caught him at the end. You could imagine when he was a little chipper young fella. That's about what you got, I would imagine. Tommy Lasorda. Wow, that was aggressive.
I remember we were Team USA in college, and we went to Japan for an exhibition series, and we got absolutely destroyed. We come back from Japan, land at LAX, have a luncheon with him as special guest. Dude, he aired us out the whole time. You guys are embarrassing. How do you go over there? You guys are the best players in the country. What an embarrassment you guys are to Team USA. And I was like,
yeah,
what's going on right now? Like, we got chewed out for getting smoked by the Japanese team in Japan by Tommy Lasorda. I think the luncheon was at LMU, if I'm not mistaken. And he laid into us. He's like, when you guys go, because we were going to Taiwan, we came back for some exhibition games into the U.S., and then we're heading back to Taiwan. And he's like, if you guys don't win a gold medal, don't come back.
I love it.
Back.
Yeah, he also won the gold medal of the 2000 Olympics for a team that wasn't supposed to do it. He managed it, and he motivated. He's like, I remember him telling stories about how it was the worst team ever, but he managed it, and he motivated them, and just business and that. We're the USA. We don't lose to other teams in baseball. Like, that was his speech to us. So that was Kurt Bavacqua. So if you have a chance, he was a light-hitting infielder. And the line about I'll send a fucking limo to get him, that's the best. Right there.
Yeah, I want to know how many pitchers send limos to pick me up.
You know, there was such a difference between him and you remember Beto, legendary coach at USC, Rod Dato.
Yeah, well, they were best friends.
He was a complete opposite, though, man. I feel like he was
Tiger.
Like very more quiet and would take the time to talk to you and stuff like where Tommy was like he was ready to tackle your ass, you know?
Bavacqua hit 236 in his career, 27 homers. His thing was he batted .412 in the 1984 World Series. He hit 2 home runs. He was the Padres DH.
How can we get that guy on the podcast?
Bavacqua, he lives in Miami Beach, Florida. He's 75 years old. I'm pretty sure. And if you go on his Wikipedia, there's that. It's all the teams that he talked about, and then there's something about Tommy Lasorda. So feuds and brawl. So Bavacqua was known to have a feud with Dodgers manager Tommy Lasorda, back and forth. Oh, by the way, that fine was for $500 back in the day that needed for your hat. So yeah. So that was it right there. So there you go. The audio version for you every single week. We'll bring you a different one. I have fun doing it because I found some beauties that we're going to have for the show. All right, now we're going to wrap up the show. It is time now for the new feature that people love. Forget it. I've told everybody at the beginning of the show, cover your kids' ears. Go for it, Thole. It is now time for, we're going to have music for you eventually. We're going to have a little jingle and everything. I had some guy making something up. Well, you want some like hardcore music, right? Like
no, Bubble Butt. That's my walkout song.
Bubble Butt?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. It's now time for Thole time.
All right, so I'm going to start today with, I understand that I'm the coach of my son's travel team, but one thing I am tired of is daddy baseball. It's all over the country. It's daddy ball, daddy ball, daddy ball. Their kid plays the shortstop. Their kid hits third. I want no more daddy ball in youth sports. We have to find a way as a group to get these kids like what I'm going to call some real coaching, right? I've had enough of the dads telling me how good their player is, where he's going to college. I am done with it. I'm in that industry right now, and I will do it no longer. No more daddy ball the rest of the time if you're associated with me right now. 44 seconds. That's all I needed. Point across. I'm done with it. Daddy ball, daddy ball. Oh, my kid's a mess. I hear it every day. I can't do it anymore.
Hey,
little Johnny, little Johnny.
How old is your kid?
Good.
Totally. How old is your
He's
kid?
10. He's 10.
You got a long way to go, bro.
I mean,
what is going on with people, man? Like, what is like?
Dude, we're talking about 9-year-old kids, 8-year-old kids. I hear it every single day. Every time I give a lesson, is how good their kid is. I said,
a friend of the gym is part of the Hermosa Beach baseball committee, and he saw me the other day. He's like, "Hey, man, what would you be interested in doing like a little seminar for our coaches? Some of our coaches have never coached, this and that." And I was like, 100%, let's do it. And he's like, what would you focus on? Fundamentals. That's it. Fundamentals from when you start playing, you pick up a ball, all the way to the big leagues. It's always about fundamentals. Like, we get so caught up in velocity and doing this and doing that. Fundamentals. Watch your kid doing this and keep it simple. And that's it. He's like, really? Yeah. That's it? I'm like, yeah. Like, what, like, you know, and I'm still not at that place where you're at right now, Josh. My kid's only 6 years old, but I'm sure I see it coming. And once it almost seems like your big league experience is a little bit discredited if their kid is already being seen by, like, you know, UCLA or USC or Miami University. Like,
hey, I have some buddies that are in the college ranks, and I've sent them like videos of some players, and they write back, maybe they should go to a JUCO. Like, I'm talking about like Power 5 schools, but it's like maybe they should go to a JUCO, and that's okay. Maybe you should go to a JUCO, but and it's not only here. I have buddies all over the place. I have friends in Boston that do lessons. They deal with the same shit. Like, we got one of my buddies has a 13-year-old. He doesn't have a 13-year-old kid, but he gives lessons to a 13-year-old kid, and they're talking about going to Texas for this thing. They're talking about doing this at the University of Tennessee. It's like, yo, y'all aren't even close, Dad. Like, okay, go drive 5 hours to go play travel baseball if you think that helps. Like, that might help. It might not help. But, like, at some point, you got to be realistic when you come in regards to these type of things, right? Like, the parents, and I don't think my dad was like this, because my dad was hard on me. But I don't think he would ever say, like, oh, Josh is going to go to X, Y, and Z. No, it was, we worked. Like, everybody wants everything handed to them. You got to work. You can't just have everything handed to you.
I miss the days of dads and getting drunk in the bleachers and just yelling at you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Go up to the concession stand, dude, and just zip it up. Let us coach.
That's what it was all about. It really was all about work. And my dad told me early on, like, hey, he didn't know anything about the big leagues. He didn't know anything about D1 baseball, but he wanted me to be the best. Where I was at in my stage in my career, in my life, not in T-ball, and when I got to high school and before high school, leading up to high school, he just wanted me to be the best. And I'll tell you what, man, and I'm sure you did too, Josh, but there was so much hate sometimes from other parents about the work that I was doing. There's always this, I'll never forget, and I won't say his name because I really don't like him, but his dad was always like, oh yeah, there's a scout that's going to come and watch so-and-so. There's a scout that's going to come and watch so-and-so. That was like, oh yeah, like my son's better than Ricky, you know, and this and that. And when I made it to the big leagues, I caught wind of it. This dad was saying, if you guys only knew that my son was better than Ricky when they were younger. And I was like, okay, like stay there. Like, you know, your son decided not to get better every single day. And that's why high school was the pinnacle of his career, you know, and
that's right. And Rick, like, this is the difference, right? Like, you worked, I worked. That's what we did. Now everybody wants, like, not the handout. Handout's the wrong word, but, like, they want you to, like, I don't know. They confide in you for confirmation, right? Mm-hmm. And then when you don't give them the right confirmation, they're like, well, you're horse shit. Actually, we're good, right? But it's like, dude, this is a total package.
I just don't, to me, I don't understand the whole, my 8th grade kid is already going to UCLA. I don't understand that. You know, Josh, in 3 years or 4 years from your 8th grade year to your senior year of high school, you either get shittier or you get a lot better every single year, you know, and you can go from you're the top guy at 8th grade, 9th grade comes, you don't produce 10th, but how are these schools handing out scholarship is what I don't understand, because I was a late signee at Cal State Fullerton. I didn't sign till like June, and classes started in September. Like, so I'm like, I would have no chance in today's game because I was a senior that didn't know where he was going, and I don't understand that. I still don't understand that whole process that they're looking forward to the class of 2026. Like
that's a Mike Nikias conversation, because he was a recruiting guy at Georgia Tech for a long time.
Yeah. And just in the game of baseball, maybe football, basketball, it's a little different. Some of those guys are just freak athletes, but in baseball, I feel like you can easily get exposed, you know, as you move along from 9th to 10th grade, 10th grade, 11th to 12th grade, and then you get to university, and you're like, wait, this was the 8th grade kid that we signed. Like, oof, he's not as good. You know, what do you think?
The little bit I've been told, like from Valenzuela, the head coach of Long Beach State, he said a lot of it is you're offering the kids who are in 9th grade, they're like the Team USA stud guys, the ones that are projected, but they're not allowed to sign until their senior year. So a lot of it is just playing of like, okay, Oregon offered, well, UCLA's got offered. A lot of that is that jockeying kind of thing, and also it's a lot of gamesmanship between, from the little bit that I've been told from recruiting people, like how you do it. And it's you're hoping that the kid projects, but then they come senior year and it's like, yeah, that scholarship offer maybe not quite there anymore because you didn't grow. But then a lot of the kids, like you could tell, it is crazy. Like the circuit, the world, that's another whole conversation for another day. But that'd be great if we could get somebody who actually knows that world to hear.
He knows.
Because I tell everybody, listen to our podcast, and if you're listening to two former major leaguers that are telling you how to do it and how they did it and how it's okay to go and play other sports. It's okay to ride a bike. It's okay to sled. You don't have to play every tournament. I think it worked out okay for you guys.
And it's okay to suck too. Everyone thinks that like everyone thinks that in baseball, oh, you should get a hit every day. You should throw a shot out every day. It's okay to suck. It's okay to get your ass kicked. That's where you learn, I feel like. And we get so caught up in results and so caught up in, oh, like, you know, my kid is the best. He shouldn't fail. Well, shit. If he doesn't fail when he really fails, he's not going to know how to react to it. And that's game.
I failed in 2006 for the first time in my life when I was in professional baseball. Tried navigating that shit.
Yeah.
Right? I was a stud in high school. This is what you did. You just hit. I hit.
You're supposed to be.
Right. My first year in pro ball, I hit enough. Like I hit. I never really hit a skid. My second year in pro ball, I hit my first 0 for 15 and had no idea what to do. So go fail now while you can. Like,
and
it goes back to daddy ball though, right? Daddy ball is the problems that's going to happen is daddy's going to say, oh no, we'll use a pitcher, for example, because I hear this all the time. Oh, the defense didn't make the plays behind you. They always point the finger at somebody else because it's not your fault, kid. Same thing. Like, oh, the umpire screwed you. Like, no, that's daddy ball. No more. Like, you have to be honest. You have to be honest with these kids. You have to say, hey, it's okay that you suck right now. It's okay. Here's how you get out of it. And I'm trying my damnedest. And I have a great group of kids on my team and the ones I do lessons with. Awesome group of kids. I'm very fortunate. But I have heard and seen, and it's been kind of a talk and amongst friends of mine that are all in the same industry. And today was my blow up.
Oh, today?
No, and it's true. A lot of it is on the parents. You know, you know what I hate hearing when people are like, "Oh, today's kids are soft." No, man. No, you as a parent have that responsibility. You have a responsibility to make sure you teach them, you know, what's right and what's wrong, and to lift them up when they fail, you know, and say, hey, it's okay. This is what part of this is baseball. This is what it's all about. But if you're like literally beating a kid down for no reason or making excuses for him, well, guess what? When push comes to shove, he's going to be the kid that probably doesn't know how to, you know, react to failure. And next thing you know, you're calling him soft. Well, no, it falls on you as a parent. And I feel like this is where Beto does a good job with Mateo. You know, Mateo is playing basketball at one of the best high schools in Southern California. And Beto, he's hard. He shows no sympathy. Why? Because He's like, hey, I understand if you're working and you miss a shot, it's okay. But if you didn't work on that shot and you missed it, then hey, it's on you, and you need to be better. And that's holding your kids accountable,
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like Mateo's a great kid, man. Like he knows what he's got to do, but you stay on him, Beto, and you let him know, like, hey.
The thing with my kid is I'm not being that jerk dad of like, oh, my kid sucks. He's good. He just decided to go to a high school where his teammates are 6'7", 6'8", and they're the ones who are getting recruited in 8th grade because they're monsters. And when he entered high school, he's like, I want to play in college. I'm like, all right, let's be realistic. You're not going to go to SC or UCLA to play, but we can find a good D2, D3 for you to play at. And his playing time is very limited right now. And I'm like, cool. So you're not playing. Quit. He's like, well, I'm not going to do that. But then transfer. Well, I'm not going to do that. Then get your ass up tomorrow morning at 5 and go work out. Lift weights. Yeah. You're 6'1", 140, bro. Like, nobody's looking at you. Your job is to make sure your grades are really good. So when some of the parents are like, not his team, but like just in general in the AAU world, it's like, oh, the coach is doing this. We're going to go find this team. I'm like, you know what? Eventually, you got to face your problems. And I've told Mateo this. Like, I got turned down for so many damn jobs. I get replaced by so many people. I get fired all the time. And deal with it. That's the beauty of team sports is you learn how to deal with adversity. You learn how to deal with failure. Like a lot of kids, and I know I'm sounding like the preacher, but a lot of parents, especially right now, Ricky, and I agree with you 100%, the parents are the ones that are soft. Their kid is dealing with failure. Oh, let's go put them on a team that wins a championship and they get rings at 10 years old. Why? Yep. It's okay to be 5 and 15 and play and realize that when you're getting your ass kicked, you got to fight back, and that's what you really learn about yourself.
Like, what really are you going to do with rings? Like, come on, man. Like, you see these little 10-year-old kids, 11-year-old kids, like, with their fingers full of rings. Like, okay.
It's so the mom can put it on Instagram. My son won this tournament this weekend.
Well, there's no development for kids, right? Like, when I was young, I had good coaching. And, yes, my dad coached me in the Little League, but when push came to shove and I got to a certain age, it was like, no, here's your coach. And it was a guy that had credibility, and it was all about developing you as a player. Like, my dad didn't teach me how to hit the cutoff man or what that was supposed to look like. But I'll tell you this, the coach, who was not Daddy Ball, taught us all of that. And there's something to be said. We had 3 kids go to professional baseball out of that. So from a small team.
I'll tell a funny story really quick. When the summer before I headed to Cal State Fullerton, there was a few. Turner was one of the kids that was playing on that team. There was like 3 or 4 dudes that were going to Cal State Fullerton, and Coach Rick Vanderhook's brother was the head coach of that team, the Long Beach Cardinals. I'm sure you remember them, Beto. I'm not sure.
Yeah, was it Connie Mack, right?
Mack, yes. And I remember they're like, hey man, this would be a good time for you to maybe meet some of the guys that you're gonna play with. There was other dudes from like, USC commits, and dude, we had it all. Like these dudes were studs. So I come out, my first game, they throw me out to pitch, and I walk the house, dude. I couldn't throw a strike. I was so nervous. I had never really been out of that little element of the East LA community where I had dominated all those years. And I head there, and I can't throw a strike. I embarrass myself. So after the game, I tell my dad, I'm like, Dad, I don't want to come back here. He's like, bullshit. He's like, you committed to coming here, and you're going to come here next game. And I was like, well, no, like, I just embarrassed He's like, I don't care. You're going back out there. You know what to do. You know how to throw strikes. You're going to be fine. Sure enough, next thing you know, they put me in the clinching game for the World Series, and I come in and shut the door, and we go to the World Series and we win it, dude. And I was one of the main pitchers. It's crazy. Just the little bit of confidence that my dad gave me, saying you're going to be fine. Like, it's okay to fail. That gave me confidence into that, and then it kind of catapulted me into Cal State Fullerton, and I had to deal with challenges there, obviously, that I've talked about before. And then, like Josh said, when you get to pro ball, it's a completely different beast. Failed there too, But who was there to pick me up? My pops, man. Every time, hey, you want to come home? All right, it's time for you to find a job. Oh no, Dad, I'll stay here.
Hey, isn't it crazy to think like a daddy ball rant turned into like this conversation, right? Yeah. Of like the importance of failure and all of that. I think that's fascinating.
This is why that's why I like doing the podcast with you guys, because I always learn something new. And like I once again, I never got past high school, right? But I've been around the elite best athletes in the world in whatever respective sport. And when you talk to them, and just like how I love picking your brains, it's never about what tournament they won. You guys always talk about your adversity. You always talk about how you turned your adversity into something personal and you made it better. Like, you've never once ever said, I won this tournament when I was 12. I wasn't there. Josh, I don't know how many times you bring up the fact that you sucked for that year. Ricky, you talk about your struggles in AA. And I've never heard you guys talk about your accolades, because
I don't even remember what tournament I played in when I was 12.
But that's my point. It's without failure and without adversity, you don't get there. I went 0 for 22 trying to get a TV job in my 20s, and I was like, fuck, maybe I should just do radio because nobody wants to hire me to do TV. I never quit on it. It kept going. But whenever you would talk to, Phil Jackson, I loved hearing his just talks about life in general, about this, or Greg Popovich when they're talking about non-basketball stuff. That's why I get mad at my friends who are pushing their kids so much. And I don't tell them this. I'm like, you don't need to be flying your kid across the country for a showcase at 12. Like, you don't need to do that, because as I tell my son, our goal isn't to be the best 11th grader. It's to be the best student right now, so your punk ass gets into a college that I don't have to pay that much for. Like, that's what it's for. It's about learning how to be a grown-up and learning how to figure things out on your own.
And you know what? I think, like you said, his minutes are limited, but dude, the fact that he gets to go compete with those guys at practice is going to make him that much better.
Yeah.
And it's all on him, like, and how hard he's going, and if he's pushing himself. You're not there to hold his hand either, Beto. You can just give him the advice that you do give him. But dude, I feel like it makes you better, when you're around guys like that. And I told you about, Anthony Hoya being at Cal State Fullerton, how it's different for him. It was different for me too when I stepped foot in that school. I had never seen so many white people, it was just completely different. Now you're competing against these dudes, and you hear about these dudes on Baseball America. Some of these dudes come out on the front page of Baseball America, and you're like, whoa, like, now I'm facing him, like, and you're trying to, like, there's so many types of emotions that go through you. For me, like I said, from where I came from, but it made me better, dude. I never shied away from it. And I think where it came out for me was my sophomore year, when I was told I wasn't good enough to pitch at Cal State Fullerton. And I said, you know what? Fuck that. I'm plenty good enough. I came here for a reason. And, and I did what I had to do. And I proved to everyone that I could. So there's just all these, like, this is where I don't know. I'm sure there's reasons behind this, but Coach Horton spoke on that on our camp about the transfer portal. How he doesn't really agree with it, because now kids can easily be like, oh, I'm playing, I'm getting beat out by so-and-so. Okay, I'm leaving somewhere where I'm going to play, and I get it. You only get college once, and some guys, I just feel like it's almost like, I don't know, would you agree that it's kind of being abused right now? Like, if you don't like somebody, or you just, boom, see it.
Yeah, it's quick to leave. But then, as Thole and Rick, you're going to learn this too. When you get into that travel world and that club world, it's, oh, my kid's not playing here, I'm going to go find another team.
That's good.
And they play
Don't
back
let the door hit you in the ass.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm in it. I'm in it a little bit right now, right? At a smaller scale. But dude, we're going to some bigger tournaments. And let me tell you, if one parent bitches about playing time, hit the road. I got no time for that.
Once again,
I'll develop them. I'll get them better. But
the best team was the Bad News Bears, because Buttermaker had a bunch of kids that were cleaning the pool for him as they're making him martinis, and he had no idea who the parents were. Like, did Kelly Leak have parents? No, right? That fool's riding his motorcycle, smoking a cigarette in the outfield, bro. That's the kind of kid you need on your team, Thole.
Yeah, I know. Hey, I got to say this real quick before we wrap it up. I'm not on the Instagram world. I'm not, like, in the group text, but I have to say, I'm lobbying for some skis from my brother, and he's been listening to the podcast, a loyal listener. And I told him, he says, you give me a shout out, you get the skis for free.
Wait, hold on. Thole, let's get you the solo shot. All right, here we go. Go for it.
Jeremy, there is a shout out for you. Send the skis, you have the address. Done. They call that leveraging, baby.
Well, Jeremy, we appreciate you listening. Let's go, Ricky Roll. The stickers are coming, and if anybody out there is a graphic designer and knows how to get all creative, we need a logo for Thole Time. We need a picture of Thole with a megaphone or something. Get creative I want to get a sticker that says Thole time of Thole ranting or whatever it is. Like somebody get creative with the artwork out there for Thole time sticker. Hey, maybe even a Thole time hoodie.
And before we wrap it up, I want to give a huge shout out to Graham, our boy Graham.
Oh
doing big things like Oregon, man. Yeah, that's so dope. I saw you post about him, Beto. That's so cool, man. Good
our intern Graham is working.
I don't even remember him. Hell with Graham.
Graham, whose dad, Gary, Professor Long Beach State loyal listener. Graham, our intern from the past summer, is working for Sports Illustrated on campus at Oregon, and he's covering the team. Yeah.
Good for Graham. Give it up for Graham.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, good
Graham
for Graham.
Metzger. Covering the team, doing packages, looking smooth. I remember when he used to text us back. I remember when he used to do promos for us. I remember when
when he would look like he's sleeping.
Yeah.
And he would get on the podcast.
And then just start chirping at you like, oh, well. Like,
I know. I didn't know the guy for 5 minutes, and he's blowing my doors off.
I met him once.
I love it. Let's get him on the show as a guest one of these times, just to say hi, then we'll get him off.
He doesn't respond to text anymore.
Oh, he's big time. TV guy.
TV guy in Oregon. So congratulations. So once again, if you know us, you go on to good things. All right, we'll see you next week. Hey, let's work on trying to get Nikius on for next Tuesday. I want to pick his brain about baseball and stuff like that.
I'll text him right now.
And there it is. And if you guys have a chance, go and ask Kurt Bavacqua what he thinks about Tommy Lasorda. And next week we'll have Thole, any kind of preference for next week's rant?
No, no.
For my let's see how this tournament goes. Let's see how this tournament goes. I can't wait for next Tuesday now.
You have a tournament this weekend?
No tournament. Just practice.
Okay. I think you had a tournament.
No, sorry. Just practices.
All right, Ricky, remember next week to ask Thole if any parents came up to him because you know they're listening.
You know they're listening. I'm getting texts right now. Is it my kid? Is it me?
I'll be in my shitty Rams gear. So everyone tune in, I guess, if you want to see that, take pictures
and blast it off.
I'm gonna pull up a big thing of salt and just put it right here, just so throw salt all over that, so they get blown out in the Super Bowl.
Another edition of Let's Get Ricky Roll. Josh Thole, Ricky Romero, brought to you by Blue Wire Podcast Network. Make sure you rate, subscribe, review, all that other stuff, and share it. And follow the Instagram at Let's Go Ricky Roll. And if you're a graphic designer, get that Thole time graphic going. We want to make some stickers and shirts for him. See you guys. Adios.
See you boys.